Hello, my name is Matt Bird, and welcome to the PublishU podcast, where we explore the real life stories of authors from around the world. Today, I'm talking to Jed Gorham from Ontario in Canada, who has written a book called Rough-Hewn Christianity. Jed, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Matt.
So tell me about you. Tell me about your family. Tell me about your people.
Well, I am a pastor of a rural community church in the backwoods of Northern Ontario. I have my wife who works right alongside me. I have five kids now, and one of them is
Ooh,
old enough to be married, and we she's already had a child, so I have a grandson with another
wow.
one on the way. So that's some of our people.
Granddad? What do you
That's
get
right.
called? I mean, they call grandparents different
They
things.
call me they call me Gramps.
Gramps. Okay, Gramps. I'll stick to Jed just for the interview, but when we're next talking offline, I may call you Gramps.
That's fair.
So you got inspired to write a book. What? Why? Why? What on earth came upon you that made you think I want to write a book?
Well, there's a few reasons. One is other people were pushing me to say, you need to write down some of these ideas. You need to share with what you have to more people than just your own local region and the few others that have come in contact with you.
Mm.
And then the other thing was, is I have a daughter who also has published a book, and so I thought, well, I better catch up to her. So
Don't want to getting ahead. Was she encouraging to you to do the book?
she was very encouraging, and I was very helpful in helping to guide through some of the areas that I might have struggled with.
Yeah, great. It's always good to have free labor within the family, isn't
That's correct.
it? So, so lots of people encourage you to write a book. So they must have thought you've got something important to say rather than just something okay to say. So what were all those people thinking that's important that Jed needs to write so that more people hear? From their perspective, what do you think it was?
For their perspective, it was the way I came across. Very much a storytelling, very approachable type person, and that I can easily find different parallels and to observe and go, hey, wait, we can see Jesus in this very simple action that takes place around life. And that's just one example. I can do that through, it doesn't have to just be about religion. Sometimes I make connections and go, hey, if we observe here, you can see something that can help us there.
Yeah, yeah, amazing. Very good. So you've written a book called Rough-Hewn Christianity. Um, what's the heart of the book?
The heart of the book is is about practical, authentically following Jesus. There's lots of practical advice. In fact, there's a pattern that I've written into the book that includes a series of lessons and observations that I've seen in Christianity and through the Word of God. But I also include a number of stories and parables from my own mission field, kind of in the backwoods of Northern Ontario.
Mm. So you said rural community, backwoods. I mean, how rural are we speaking about, Jed? Come on, give us a sense of this.
Well, the nearest town to us is only 15-minute drive away, where you're
Okay.
driving 80 kilometers an hour the whole time. But we are in a place where if I go through my backyard and I want to keep walking, I have maybe 20 miles of bush that I would have to walk through before I find the next kind of road. The road that we live on is even the town that I live in. It's rural enough that it's 650 people
Oh my
in
goodness.
roughly 145 square kilometers.
Yeah.
So we have about geographically about 4.4 people per square kilometer. My whole mission field is about 4,000 to 5,000 people, which in many places that's their apartment building.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah, I'll say. And so what do you think Jesus has to say about rural life particularly? Is it unique in this situation?
What I find is being what I would kind of define as a backwoods preacher is I have to learn how to communicate with the people at the level that they're learning. So I have to be able to be a better communicator. We also have a lot of French Canadian and Indigenous people in our area. So w- I can't rely just simply on the English language. I have to find ways to communicate and to be approachable in such a way that I don't look like I'm some fancy spiritual guru of some kind, using language that nobody's ever heard.
Yeah. 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 I get that. So it's a lot about the language and making it accessible. Um, and I guess Jesus was a rural kid, wasn't he?
Jesus grew up in the country. Most of his disciples, we get the impression that they were living rougher lives than some of the academics that were around during his day. Yes, eventually God chooses the Apostle Paul, who was an academic, but for the most part, Jesus' followers were from what would have been similar to the backwoods of Galilee.
Yeah. So you used a phrase, and I think it needs some cultural contextualization or discussion. You talked about being a backwards preacher. So backwards in other cultures means something slightly different to what I think you mean. So why don't you tell us what you mean by being backwards? Because it has a very negative connotation in my context, and that's not what you mean.
And
I'm pretty certain.
it can have negative context. It's just a much more wild and laid. It's wild on one hand and more laid back because there's no city pace of life, but there's so much wilderness around us.
Mm,
It takes a long time. We don't measure where we go from place to place in kilometers or miles. We would measure it in time. I am a half-hour drive from this place. I am three
yeah,
hours from Ottawa, or I'm 3 hours from Toronto, to
yeah,
give a geographical location.
yeah.
It's not full on wilderness because there are people here and we have our amenities, some of them, but there's definitely a wild, and yet because you're so close to nature, there's
Mm,
a peacefulness and
mm,
a slowness to the pace of life.
mm. Well, thank you for clarifying what backwards means in your context. I appreciate that, and I think some others will as well. So, Jed, you did the writing my book course. I mean, in what ways was that helpful to you?
The writing my book course was a great way for me to focus because I had many, many stories and ideas, and it really helped me focus in on to share what this particular book is about. And the other part, I didn't know where to start. I didn't know where to get going, and where do I take my book from here? Great, I have a manuscript. Where do I take it? And the course really helped me to understand just some of what the publishing process is.
Mm, mm, mm. Great. And you were a great cohort because you were all from the same network organization. So there's quite a lot of camaraderie. Well, there's always camaraderie around our table, but particularly on your cohort because you knew each other, didn't you?
Well, we knew a bit of each other, but at the same time, it was a great opportunity to build relationship
Mm.
in the people that we may not see on a regular basis. We spanned all across country of Canada on this cohort, and I am not likely to get to Alberta anytime soon. That's a long drive. It's even a long flight. So it was a
How
great
long's the
opportunity.
drive?
The drive just to get out of Ontario is close to a day.
Oh my
So it can be a
goodness.
3, 4 day drive to get
Okay,
to.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
So you're not going to bump into each other that often. So to write a book together was cool.
it was exciting. Yeah.
Oh. And now your book is available globally. You know, you're the guy from this rural community, and now your book is out there, and anybody anywhere in the world can get it. How does that make you feel?
It's really exciting to me because I do have a lot of friendships from people around the world. I love working and collaborating with cross-cultural workers. We would call them missionaries. Uh, they just excite me, and now I can share back to them a little bit of what God's been speaking to me. So that excites me to be able to also bring some of the stories and the fun that we have in our kind of not exactly wild lands, but our way of life.
So what is, finally, what is your hope for the book? What are you hoping the impact might be?
My hope is to help build into people that are either brand new to Jesus so that they can learn the basic tools to be an effective follower of Jesus, and then to other ones that are keen on helping others to grow in such a way. So it's for disciples to make disciples.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, thank you, Jed, and thank you all for listening to the PublishU podcast, featuring the real life stories of authors from around the world. If you are interested in becoming an author like Jed, please visit our website www.publish, the letter U, publishu.com. And if you enjoyed this broadcast, make sure you subscribe for more. Thank you for joining us, and goodbye for now.